Okay, so we'll start with our webinar for the day. First of all, good evening, guys. Thank you all for joining us in our today's webinar, which is on ACCA F8 Audit and Assurance paper. We'll understand how we can ace this paper. So before we start with the webinar, I'd like to introduce you all to myself. My name is Aishwarya Prabhu. I've completed my intermediate level of CA and I've also worked in accounting and finance for 3 years. Currently, I'm working with ProSchool, teaching knowledge level students of ACCA and also managing accounting products at ProSchool. Our guest speaker for today is going to be Mohit Agarwal, sir. Sir is an MBA in finance and sir has been training students for various accounting and finance courses for more than 4 years now. Also, sir is very popular among students for giving 100% results in courses like ACCA and also in CA. So during the webinar, we'll be asking sir for his opinion regarding certain points and to understand from sir how we can ace this paper. Firstly, we'll understand what F8 Audit and Assurance is about. Before we understand how to tackle this paper, it is important for us to understand the subject. Then we are going to look at what makes this paper challenging, why most students find this paper very difficult to clear. And finally, we'll understand what are the important points and tricks that we can use for us to pass this paper. To start with, first let's understand what is the F8 paper all about. So F8 paper is going to be about process of audit and assurance activities. So here we'll be studying about different types of audit like internal audit, statutory audit, special audit, different types of risk that is involved in auditing. We'll also be understanding what are audit evidence, how to collect audit evidence, what are the procedures for the same. And then we'll also be understanding what is the duty of an accountant from an ethical point of view. So what are professional ethics? What are the standards for it? And then we are also going to see that this paper is a mix of theoretical and application based paper, which means there will be certain concepts which will be directly tested. And in some questions, you will have to apply the knowledge, technical knowledge that you've studied to a particular scenario. Also, this paper requires you to have your knowledge of financial accounting. Now, many students study for an exam and then they forget about it. However, for F8, that will not be possible because you will have to know your financial accounting concepts. Because see, auditing is about auditing the financial statements, reviewing your financial statements. So you need to have knowledge regarding financial statements, which you will understand from FA, that is your F3 paper. Next is the paper is a mix of MCQs. You will have to select the correct option and also constructive response, which means you'll have to explain your answer either through calculations or by explanatory answers. Now we look at what makes this paper challenging. One more point that I'd like to tell you all is that in case if you all have any questions, you can mention it in the question box and we will answer those in the Q&A section at the end. So before we understand how to tackle the paper, let's understand why is this paper a challenge. So if we look at the pass percentage, then it's somewhere even less than 40 almost every time, which means it's among one of the lowest. And the last, if you look at the March 20, it was close to 36%, which means it even reduced as compared to what it was in December. So Mohit sir, we would like to know from you, what is your opinion? Why do people find this paper challenging?
Hello, hi everyone. Hello, I'm
Hello,
audible,
sir.
Aishwarya.
Yes, we can hear
Yes,
you
I'm
clearly.
audible.
Yes, sir.
Audit pass rate. Okay. Hi everyone. Yes, audit pass rate is very bad. In recent attempt in March, it was around 36%. It means around out of 100, only 30-35 students are passing this paper. At skill level, it is the worst paper, worst passing percentage of 33, 34 is quite a low passing percentage. But the question arises, why is such low passing percentage? Reason of such low passing percentage? And what my experience has taught me that student take audit as a theory subject, but in
Hmm.
reality it is a practical subject, totally practical subject. You have to be practical. Ultimately, audit is one of the core area of ACCA. You have to form opinion on the financial statements. And how can you form opinion on the financial statement if you cannot remove material misstatements that from financial statement? For example, if you have to check bank balance, company's bank balance, you have to say the amount of bank balance is correct or not. How can you verify that? So the knowledge is not theory. You should be practical about this subject, totally practical. And second point I would like to add is knowledge of IFRS.
Hmm.
IFRS. Student lack knowledge of accounting standards. For example, if you have to check IS 37, IS 10 for provision, company having some environmental issues, companies facing some environmental obligations. So you need to calculate whether the provision is required or not in according to IS 37, or company you have to check impairment for goodwill, whether company has impaired the goodwill or not, is goodwill is overstated. So IFRS is a very important for cracking this exam, IS and IFRS. And ultimately,
Hmm.
if there are issues like ethical and professional issues, so accordingly, this paper become the passing percentage becomes so bad for it.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for giving us your opinion. If I just have to summarize what sir has said, so like sir mentioned, it's a practical paper. So just by learning concepts, it will not suffice. You need to know how to apply it to a given scenario. So questions would be scenario based. So you need to know how to apply the technical knowledge to a given situation. And since many students have not witnessed such situations practically in their real life, so it becomes difficult for them to understand how the knowledge would be applied in a real life or a practical scenario. Then is about communication method. If we have to give our answers, first of all, we need to think logically and write professionally. But many a times in the exams, we do think logically, we can think logically, but we end up writing in a very simple, casual manner. So that is where the problem arises. We don't use audit terminology. Like sir mentioned, we need to know, we need to give our opinion on audit report on the financial statements. So our language is also very important. It should be professional enough. So when we have to talk about profits not being correct or the balance sheet or financial statements not being correct, we should rather say the word misstated. So like that, there are many examples that we can give for us to understand that why communication is important in this paper. Then is forming your answer. Now, many students might look at the question, they might think logically, they might know the answer to it, but they are not planning the answer properly. So improper planning and insufficient points. So students focus a lot on what they know rather than writing what the examiner wants in the paper. So that is very important. You should be clear about what the examiner is asking in the paper. Then is the format of the exam. Since ACCA has MCQ based questions in the format, but what we see in auditing paper is that MCQs are only worth 30 marks, and the major part of the paper is actually explanatory answers. So wherein 70%, 70 marks, you have to explain your answer. So all these points talking about the scenario based application, communication. So explanation is very important in this paper. And finally, because of all these other points, we are not focusing on time. And then even if we know all the answers, we might not be able to complete our paper on time. Moving on to how do we ace this paper now? So looking at certain points that we have here, firstly, for any exam, it is very important to know your concepts really well. Like sir mentioned, all the IAS, IFRS, auditing standards, we should be very clear about all of these. So if you know your concepts well, half the battle is won there. So auditing standards, financial accounting concepts, accounting standards. So risk related to auditing, audit procedures. Like sir gave example of bank statement, bank balance. So what would be the audit procedures that you will have to carry out in order to check and verify the bank balance? With respect to ethics, even that sir had mentioned, with respect to ethics, we should know what are the threats to the independence of an auditor or an accountant. So we need to be clear about all these topics. Then another thing is that we should be clear about the standards. So wherever possible, if we can rote learn them, if we can by heart them, well and good. If in case in the exam you're not able to remember particular standard, then maybe you can mention as per the prescribed accounting standard or auditing standard, so and so is the way of applying it. But as much as possible, always try to rote learn it and mention it, quote it in the exam wherever required. This will tell the examiner that, first of all, it's a professional way of communication. It also tells the examiner that you know these accounting and auditing standards. Then is practice a variety of questions. Now, what do I mean by variety of questions? You need to practice questions which are of different scenario based. Since the paper is going to be scenario based, the questions that you practice should also be of different industries. So maybe you can solve a question with respect to manufacturing, then maybe with respect to a service industry, maybe an export import based company. So this, why should you do this kind of questions? Because see, auditing procedures and risk for every company is not going to be the same. It will vary depending on the type of the industry you are in. So when you practice different type of questions, it will make it easier for you in the exam to think of the points logically. Then is by practicing a lot of questions, you should also do it on computer based format. So this will help you firstly to get familiar with the computer based tools. You will exactly know how the exam format looks like, and that will reduce your anxiety during the actual final exam. Now in ProSchool, we do have many of our, we have a learning management system wherein the questions are given to students so that they can practice it online. So it kind of simulates the exam like environment. Also very important to revise concepts from time to time. Many students write more than one paper at a time, and these topics are such that people tend to forget it. So it's very important that you just don't study once and for all, but also keep revising it from time to time. So when you solve questions, automatically you will be revising your concepts also. And even finally, after you do all of this, it's important to even refer to technical articles from the official website of ACCA. Now, technical articles are articles given by ACCA, and these are articles that will give additional information about a particular topic, or rather give emphasis on a particular topic. So maybe we can just have a look at what it looks like. So this is the official website of ACCA where we have technical articles. We will, in case you are not able to directly find technical articles on the ACCA website, if you have joined the Telegram channel, ACCA India, ACCA India channel, then we will discuss over there also how you can find these technical articles. So if you see, there are a list of articles where you can refer to. So see, there is no need to by heart these technical articles. It is impossible to by heart, but at least every day just go through at least one article so that you have an understanding of what it is, and you'll also be able to relate it with your topic that you're studying. Now moving on to what more you need to do during exam. So one is to read the requirements first. Now generally when you go for shopping to a supermarket, we always carry a list with us of the things we need to buy. So that makes our work easy. We exactly know what things we want to buy. We very well know which section to go to in the supermarket. So this will reduce our time, and also this is very important because you don't waste your time in the exam. You're not wandering around in the paper. So first read what is the requirement, whether they're asking you for audit procedures, whether they're asking you for risk. So all that is very important. So based on that, when you actually go on to read the scenario, you will exactly know what points you have to look out for. Then is to apply the concepts to the scenario. Just by quoting a standard, it might not give you marks directly, but you will get marks when you actually apply that accounting or IFRS or any auditing standard to the given scenario. So first, probably you will give a small introduction. You will explain what the auditing standard or accounting standard is telling, and then based on that, to that particular scenario, how that standard would be applicable, and finally a conclusion for it. So depending on the question asked, if they're asking you to explain what the auditor needs to do, then maybe this is how you will be explaining it. So firstly, you'll be mentioning facts from the question. Then you will quote the standard and link it with the scenario. Then you will quote all important and relevant points. If it's a point-based question, if it's asking you for a procedure, then you will list down the points there. So by generally writing points which are generic to all questions, it won't fetch you any marks. So that is what we are saying, very important for you to link it to that particular scenario. Next is time management. Now the paper is for 3 hours and 10 minutes. Now this 10 minutes is only for you to read the instructions, which means the paper is actually of only 3 hours. So that is 1.8 minutes for each mark. So very important for you to plan your paper, and only when you practice will you be able to do this. And the last thing that you need to keep in mind is it's very important for you to not leave any question unanswered. Okay, so as much as possible, try and answer. Even if eventually, if you feel like you don't know one question, you go on to the next question. And once you're done with the paper, come back to that question and see if you can at least guess or logically think what could be the answer. Next is we have a few tricks that we can use for the audit and assurance paper. And one way that we can look at it is if you have questions regarding audit procedures, then there is a format or rather acronym that we have in with us. So you can use this because more or less all of this is applicable to every type of account balance or every type of item in the balance sheet or in the profit and loss statement. So the acronym for audit procedures would be AEIOUER. First, A stands for analytical procedures, that are ratios, percentage, trend analysis that you do. Okay, so your sales ratio, gross profit ratio, net profit ratio, or ROCE, return on capital employed, all of these. Then you inquire. Now, inquire with the management of why a particular transaction was not recorded or why the adjustments have not been done. Or if the management has taken already certain decisions, on what basis have they taken their decision. So we'll inquire with the management. Then is to inspect. If they are saying that particular goods have been damaged or there has been fire in a factory, then we go on to inspect. Then is to observe. If certain, for example, stock counting is going on, then as an auditor you have to observe that or how they are doing the counting. So the next point would be observe. Then is to understand the environment of the entity. So that is very important for any audit procedure. It is important that you know how the entity functions, what are their risks, what are the control issues within the entity. So based on that you will decide how much audit you have to do, whether you have to go for a complete end to end, each transaction should be audited, or whether you should go on a sample basis considering materiality. Then is evidence. For whatever transactions you are checking, you are inquiring, for everything you need to have some sort of evidence, some sort of supporting document for it. And finally, recalculating. So whatever amounts have been calculated by the client, we'll be recalculating it. So if there are many transactions, we might take on a sample basis considering materiality level, and we will be recalculating those amounts to cross check if they have been calculated correctly. Then for internal control effectiveness, so wherever we are talking about control activities within the organization, how to manage certain control within the company, then wherever it's about internal audit, then we can use this acronym called CRIME. Now the what does CRIME refer to? First is control activities within the company, all the control which have already been set. Regarding that, whatever activities have been done, we'll explain that. Then is risk assessment. Within the company, what are the risks that they are facing? Like I already mentioned, when you do different type of questions of different industries, because every industry has different type of risk, you need to do their risk assessment. Then I stands for information systems, information technology and systems. So different companies use different accounting softwares and various other type of softwares and technology to store their data. So wherever technology is involved, you will have to make sure that they don't face any sort of risk from the point of view of technology. And then it's monitoring all of these activities that have been done. So the risks that have been assessed, what are the controls put in place for that, whether they are working effectively or not, and then we need to follow up. So monitoring. And finally, you have the environment of the entity. Again, very similar to what we saw here. Very important to know the environment of the entity, because based on that only we can decide how much internal control policies or plans we need to put into place. So we saw for audit procedures, we have AEIOU, ER, and for internal control effectiveness, we have crime. Now, the next trick that we have over here is for professional ethics. Now, in ethics, one common thing that we'll see in the exam is about threats to the independence of the auditor or the accountant. So we have an acronym which is here as SAS-IF. SAS refers to S. First is self-review threat. Okay, when you have to review your own work, you will not want to give out any information saying that if whatever work you had done and there was some fault in it, you will not tell that. So it leads to self-review threat. Okay, then is advocacy. Then you have self-interest. Okay, so no auditor should have shares of a particular company already. So that will lead to self-interest. If you talk about intimidation, as an auditor, if the management of the company is putting pressure on you because of some past activities that you have had with the company, or you have supported them previously in any kind of fraud activity or something, then they will try to intimidate you. And finally, familiarity. If you've been already been their auditor for a very long time, there is a familiarity with the client, so you miss out on seeing the activities that the organization is doing from a fresh pair of eyes. Okay, so now that we've understood all this, I'll just recap once. For audit procedures, we saw AEIOUR, and for internal control, we saw crime. Then for professional ethics, we saw SAS-IF. Okay, now we'll just try to do one question before we move on to the Q&A. So the question says, you are the auditor of ABC company, which is in production of goods as their business activity. Now, here we can see that this is the question that we are discussing. Before we move on to reading the whole question, we have to first see to it that we know what is the requirement. Remember the point which I said, when you go to shop, you have a list with you. So first we'll see what are the requirements. They're asking for what are the substantive procedures to perform regarding inventory for obtaining sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Mohit sir,
Yes, Aishwarya.
would you be able to read the question for us?
Yes, sure.
Thank you,
See,
sir.
the question is about uh, we are the auditor. So the question, we are the auditor of ABC company, which is in production of goods as their business activity. As an auditor, you have attended the year-end inventory count and found the process of recording work in progress finished goods was acceptable, both of which material to the financial statement. Okay. So till now, what question is told us, question is telling us about we are checking inventory, okay, and secondly, it's talk about that item is material. So in audit, we already know that materiality is important. We only want to check significant items, and there is performance materiality in regard to asset, in regard to revenue. So question has clarified the item is material. We don't need to account for materiality anymore. So during the inventory count, the quantity, ongoing production is all accurately recorded. However, the supervisor counting the inventory observed that the consignment related to finished good worth 1 lakh was not up to mark and found it defective due to faulty production. Okay. On informing the finance director about the defective product, he mentioned that these products could be sold at $40,000. So what
Okay,
is the
sir.
problem? They found.
Hmm.
Okay. Aishwarya, take on. Okay.
No, sir, you are explaining. You can explain, sir. Not an issue.
No, it's okay. But I was
Yes, you
just
were saying.
explaining that
Oh,
explaining the question that they have found the issue. Now they have found the issue. You should visualize. You should automatically start visualizing how I should check this issue. Now, what
okay.
IS should come in your mind? What IS should come in mind? What audit procedure you should take? What
Right.
books you should inquire? So these things you
Mhm.
should start imagining as a student. Okay, Shweta,
Oh,
you can take
okay. Thank you, sir.
on.
So, like Sir said, the first point we need to have in mind is what is the auditing standard or accounting standard that would probably be applicable to this scenario. Now, if we see the question is of 6 marks, so we need to frame our answer that way. Okay, so first we'll mention substantive procedures for inventories. Remember, we are talking about inventories in the question. Then the standard that would be applicable is IAS 2. So that is related to inventories. See, understand reading a question because inventory is mentioned blindly, don't go for IAS 2. Understand what are they asking. Since they are asking about inventories, that's the reason why this would be applicable. Okay. Then is let's frame the sentence, read it once. So review the financial statements, disclosures relating to raw material, finished goods, and work in progress to ensure they comply with IAS 2 inventories. So when you are checking the inventories, you have to make sure that they are in line, they are correct, they are with respect to, they are related to the IAS. What the IAS saying, IAS 2 is saying, that is mentioned here. And we are following that. Remember, we did AEIOUER for audit procedures, right? So the first point A, you don't need to write it exactly in this format, but because this makes it easy for us to remember, we'll go by this order. So first is analytical procedures. Now that we're talking about analytical procedures, which means our inventories, right? So in inventories, we have three items. We have raw materials, we have finished goods, we have work in progress. So conduct analytical procedures by calculating percentage change in inventories to understand the trends compared to the previous year's figures. So what does this mean? You have to check, you have to think logically. If you're auditing the inventories, you need to check whether these inventories are almost following the same trend. So last year we had raw materials which was only 48%, suddenly it is 78%. So what is the reason for this unusualness in the transaction? Okay, all these points we should be alert. Okay, then we also can use different ratios that we have studied. Since we're talking about analytical procedures regarding inventory, we have the inventory turnover ratio. So this will help us find out if there are any slow moving goods. And if there are slow moving goods, whether there are any necessary adjustments done with respect to those particular slow moving goods. Next we studied was inquire from the management. So let's see what we are going to mention here. Inquire with management on how they plan to dispose of the defective goods and the reasons why they believe it could be sold for $40,000. If we see in the question, the finance director was of the opinion that we could sell these goods for 40,000. So like I mentioned when I was explaining about inquiring with the management, if they are believing or if they say something that this is what we believe, then on what assumptions are they saying that? So we need to know all of that from the management. Then we also need to inquire with the management the difference between 1 lakh, which was defective, and from that they are saying 40,000 we can recover. So the difference of 60,000, whether adjustment related to that have been done in the books of accounts. If it's not done, what are the reasons why they have not done? Okay. So we'll inquire with the management whether adjustment of $60,000, the difference amount between 1 lakh and 40,000, to write it down has been done. If not, the reasons for the same to be taken from the management. Understand everything that you take should be in written format, in formal way. Okay, because this will form part of our E, which is evidence. Then is inspect. Now inspect the goods which we have said is defective with the supporting documentation. So whatever raw material, labor or overheads costs were involved, okay, in making those goods of 1 lakh. So we should cross check that. We should also check the goods whether they're actually defective or not. So like the question is saying that the goods have been considered to be defective. So why is that they are considered to be defective? So let's check. Now, if you see one thing, I have not mentioned O here. Okay, AEIOU, but O is not there. What is the reason why O is not there? Can you think what is the reason why O is not there? If you see in the question, we have said that the inventory count which was done, that was acceptable to the, if you see, if you read this part, as an auditor, you have attended the year-end inventory count and found the process of recording of work in progress finished goods was acceptable, which means you've observed the count. counting of inventories. So if it's already mentioned in the question, don't just blindly write it again. That means you have not read the question properly. So even though there is an acronym which is there related to the scenario, O will not form a part of this because it has already been done. Clear? Then moving on to next is you check for supporting documents for the purpose of evidence. Okay, evidence needs to be highlighted here. Okay, so you will check for documents as a purpose of evidence. So whatever you've inquired with management, a document for that. For inventories, you also need to check whether there are proper documents maintained. You will collect that. With respect to damaged goods, if there was any insurance the company has, then you will check the insurance policy documents. And on what basis are they saying it is damaged? All of those documents we need to have with us as a part for our audit working papers, audit evidence. Then is, remember we spoke about ER. So evidence is done, okay? And then finally we'll recalculate. What will we recalculate here? We'll recalculate the value of inventory on a sample basis. Okay, so whatever per unit item is or per unit cost is, we will take that and recalculate the whole thing again, just to cross check if everything has been calculated properly. Because sometimes there could be arithmetical errors as well, or people deliberately also do it as a fraud. So either ways, it will lead to error or irregularity in the financial statements. So to avoid all of that, we will also recalculate as auditors these amounts. And we'll also assess the net realizable value by taking a sample inventory items in order to record products at cost or NRV, whichever is lower. If you see the standard relating to inventories, that is also telling us to see if products have to be valued at cost or NRV, whichever is lower. So whenever we talk about inventories, it is important for us to cross check once the cost and the net realizable value in the market. Whichever is lower, we'll have to record that. So the difference we will have to accordingly adjust in the books of accounts. If you see the question is of 6 marks, so we have mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we have mentioned close to 8 points. So see the marks, see the time that has been allotted to it, and accordingly frame the answers. Now, since they are talking about directly, they are asking for procedures for audit. We have written it in this format. You don't need to write numbers 1, 2, 3, or you don't need to write bullets. You can directly write it this way. Okay. But in case if they were asking us to explain or give our opinion, then we'll have to write it in a different way. Okay. But in case if they were asking us to explain or give our opinion, then we'll have to write it in a different way. If it's a question, then we'll have to give an introduction. Like we mentioned, we'll have to quote the standard, give the facts from the question, apply the standard to the scenario, and then finally give our conclusion. Clear? So we also have WhatsApp groups, online WhatsApp groups. So in case students have doubts with respect to any of your audit related questions, regarding any questions that you are practicing, or you want to know more about what you can do for these subjects, do not forget to join our Telegram channel as well. Even there we can discuss all your other queries. Okay. And in case you have not yet joined ProSchool, then I'll also like to tell you that we are gold learning partners of ACCA. Okay, so what is the advantage of studying with a gold learning partner is that before you register, when you plan to register for ACCA, you also get discount. Okay, so whatever the actual price is, you will have to pay less than that while you register with ACCA. And you can be assured of good quality education. Also for ProSchool, we have around 70% pass rate across all levels of ACCA. So even knowledge, skill, or the final level, there's almost 70% pass rate. And with respect to study options, you can study both online or via classroom. So if you are worried as to with the lockdown, how do you plan to study ahead? You don't need to worry. You can start studying online now itself. Then with respect to study resources, we have a learning management system, LMS. In that we have around 600 plus questions subject wise for students to practice. So this will give you a variety of questions to practice, which is more than enough to clear the exam, and also help you to simulate exam like environment, because your exams are mostly going to be computer based for knowledge and skill level. So when you do these questions online, you actually simulate the exam environment. And like I mentioned about the WhatsApp group, since most students are comfortable using WhatsApp, That is where we have a forum, so you can ask questions regarding any of your subjects. And mentorship. Now, what is mentorship to do with Pro School and ACCA? Many students are confused with respect to which subject they should opt for in their final level, based on their interest or which country they are planning to go, which subject would be suitable if they have to go to a particular country, or if they want to know when they should start with their practical experience requirement. All of these kind of questions. And even with respect to taxation, many students are confused whether to go for UK based taxation or to go for international taxation. So all these kind of doubts that you have throughout your course at different levels, okay, whether it be it through for practical experience requirement, how to go about that, how to register for it separately online, all of those procedures, or with respect to studying any of these subjects or which subject to select, our faculty members, our counseling team are all available all the time for our students. And finally, we also have 100% placement support. Now, for ACCA students, it is compulsory to do their 36 months of practical experience requirement. That means they have to work under an ACCA or any other approved authority, like a practicing chartered accountant. So many students are confused where to look for a job and how to go about the practical experience part of the course. So here, ProSchool will help you with uploading your resumes or introducing you to various companies, also preparing you for interviews for getting a job in these companies. So that way we are giving 100% placement support also to our students. On an average, we are training around 7,000 students every year in accounting and finance courses. So I hope you find this webinar useful. Before we end the webinar, Mohit sir, would you like to give a small opinion on what you think, to motivate students, those who may have not cleared the exam or are planning to do audit, which is considered to be very tough?
Yes, yes, Aishwarya. Uh, as you presented, most of the things are covered. But I just want to add this point that audit is a technical paper, and you required a proper guidance. So with proper guidance, constant practice, and little bit of passion, you can ace this exam or anything in your life. It's good. It is tough. Uh, Easy thing do not hold value. So it's good that exam is tough, ACCA is tough. Okay, that's what I like to say. Okay, Shwarya. Okay, everyone.
Okay, so thank you very much. If any of you students have any questions that you'd like to ask us, you can ask us now. You can unmute yourself and ask us the question. If in case you don't have any question or you would like to ask via online platform like the Telegram channel, ACCA India channel of ProSchool, you can do that also. Otherwise, we'd like to end the webinar here. Okay, everybody. So thank you very much for attending the webinar. All of you all stay home, study well. Thank you very much.